What is going on, fam? Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to show you my true assassin build for Staff Dagger. This build was created live during my previous Twitch and YouTube stream, but for those of you that missed it, I'm gonna go ahead and explain the intricate details of the build, the thought process, as well as show you the gear and the masteries. Let's go ahead and hop into it, fam. Alright, so we're gonna start with the gear. So the gear looks similar off bat to my previous builds. However, there is a huge difference. We are now playing endurance and not evasion. As you'll see, we are using the damage reduction and HP chest piece, and we are using the damage reduction and HP belt. Damage reduction is the most underestimated stat in Throne and Liberty. I have noticed an insane difference in my gameplay after utilizing damage reduction, even when fighting melee characters. That being said, I'm not stacking any melee evasion, just range, magic, endurance. But the damage reduction that is coming from those two pieces is huge. It makes me want to stack more damage reduction, but I also don't want to lose too much damage, so I'm really fine-tuning this build between damage as well as survivability. But you'll see here I'm getting a little bit of attack speed from my gloves, dex, and fortitude. I'm getting 30 fortitude for the extra endurance. Go ahead and show you my stats. I'm at 1,000 range endurance, 1,032 magic endurance. At some point, I will take this fortitude a bit higher. I'm still just theory crafting a bit more, just to see what's the best possible min-max potential. Currently at 19.6k HP, which is pretty huge. I could hit 20k HP, but I'll show you why I'm not currently. 1,000 hit. We're main-handing staff, no longer main-handing dagger. That way we get the extra damage on our staff. Our crit is okay. It's not crazy. It's 1,100. It's pretty decent, but it's not crazy. We're getting a little bit extra crit from the hood and a little bit of crit from Talus. Perception is really good. Our hit's really good. And then our crit damage is really good from the Shadow Harvesters. I'd say we have pretty decent stat spread on this build. Yeah, those are the most important stats: the endurance, the hit, and the HP. But the things I want to point out to you guys is you look at my rune synergy, it's totally different. Strength and critical hit damage reduction. Strength and critical hit damage reduction. That critical hit damage reduction pairs well with the extra damage reduction from my gear. And then you have dex and critical hit damage reduction, max HP, max HP, max HP. Like I said, I could stack a little bit more HP here, and that would bring me up to 20k HP, but I think the critical hit damage reduction is actually a bit more important. So that's why you see my rune set up this way. Go ahead and check the Questlog if you want the full intricacies of what runes you should be rocking. Let me go ahead and show you guys the skill build. As you'll see, I'm going to go over the skills first. Inferno Wave for burning stacks, Fireball for the one-shot, Chain Lightning for the extra damage, Judgment Lightning for the extra damage on burning opponents. The main combo is actually Shadow Escape, well, fully buff, Inject Venom, High Focus, into a Shadow Escape, into a Mad Sword Dance, which is actually stacking AoE damage as well as Thunderclouds. So we're stacking Poison with Inject Venom, and then we're also stacking Thunderclouds with Mad Sword Dance skill specialization, and then we're removing Thunderclouds with Brutal Incision. This build does work with Thunderclouds bombing, however, because of the crit damage bonus from Harvester, Shadow Harvester, I personally like Brutal Incision, mostly because of the cooldown of Mad Sword Dance. If I was using the Thunderclouds buff, then it wouldn't be a big of a deal. But because I'm only stacking Thunderclouds on Mad Sword Dance, that means I can only pretty much use Brutal Incision when Mad Sword Dance is up. And Mad Sword Dance has a long cooldown than Brutal Incision. So because of that, I do more damage with Brutal Incision without Thundercloud stacks. Brutal Incision does damage, a lot of damage, no matter what's on the target, whether it's poison or whether it's Thunderclouds. So I prefer Brutal Incision, but you can also use this with Thunderclouds. Main DPS combo, obviously Ice Spear, Judgment Lightning, a really good combo. Fireball Barrage for the mana burn, mostly for arenas. We're using Shadow Escape. As always, it's just really tricky, makes you hard to hit. Using the um, cooldown reduction on Camouflage Cloak, it's really important for arena. That way you can get those extra cloaks. Um, I'm using everything on Mad Sword Dance. The AoE, I would say, is optional. Um, However, I do like the AoE because sometimes it will clump and it just adds a little bit of extra damage in AoE on the kit. And then for the staff, obviously everything on Focus Firebomb. For Inferno Wave, we're using everything. The cooldown reduction is really important so we can continuously apply burning stacks. Also, Inferno Wave, when it crits, does a very good amount of damage. Burning stacks are really good for Training Lightning, Judgment Lightning, Ice Bombardment, High Focus. The main thing though, you guys, the main thing about this build, what makes it a true assassin build, is the Mad Sword Dance weakened Thunderclouds, lowering their endurance several times while using this skill, um, and then just bursting them with Brutal Incision. It's insanely, insanely good burst DPS. One thing you could do if you're not playing as much arena, you don't really need the mana burn unless you're fighting a lot of healers. Um, it's good for sustained fights. It's better for arena though. One thing you could do is take those points off and put the extra damage to poison targets, which gives you 15% extra damage, which goes into the critical hit damage algorithm for Brutal Incision because you're using Inject Venom. And then these are the passes we're using: extra heavy attack on Flame Condensation, Destructive Fang. I will say though, we don't necessarily need the um, you can either take off Assassin Step, which I really like this skill because the mobility allows you survivability if you get a kill, gives you insane movement speed when going open world. You don't necessarily need the extra heavy attack on Flame Condensation. This does helps a lot. The burning damage is pretty decent. However, Mana Ball Eruption will give you a bit of more consistent damage when using your staff skills. I'd say play around with it, see which one you can get more damage with. However, I do like the burst on heavy attack from Flame Condensation, but because we're main handing staff, the Mana Ball Eruption is really good for the normal attacks as well as all your staff skills. So something to play around with. The only thing is that you get heavy attack chance on burning targets no matter what skill you use. So if you apply burning and you use your melee skills, they also have a chance to heavy attack. So that's kind of why I prefer Flame Condensation over Mana Ball Eruption, just because it's more consistent for burning damage, and then you get the potential for heavy attack. So there you go. Those are skills. That is the build. Like I said, the main DPS combo, you guys, is when you fully buff, you're gonna go in Mad Sword Dance. You can inject Venom into Brutal Incision, or if they're already low, you can just straight up just Brutal Incision. Another really good combo is, let's say you Inferno Wave. You could Inferno Wave, Fireball, Fireball Barrage, Chain Lightning, Ice Spear, Judgment Lightning, because you have all your burning stacks. And then at that point, your melee combo should be up again. You could go in, Mad Sword Dance, inject Venom into a Brutal Incision. Those are the main DPS combos for this. Some really good things to know is because we're using Shadow Escape, when you go in for your melee skills, if you get CC'd, then you can Shadow Escape out the second you get un-CC'd. Especially if you get Talos proc, it'll stop them from chain CCing you, and you can just Shadow Escape out. These are some really good things to know. Also, I highly recommend testing the evasions of your opponents. If you throw out a Chain Lightning and it misses, then likely they have magic evasion. If you and that at that point, that's when you want to go in for melee skills. And if you go in for your melee skills and you're missing, then likely they have melee evasion, and that's when you want to focus on range. Just some really good things to know. You really want to test your opponent's evasion before you all in your combos. That way you don't waste your skills. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the build in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching. Peace and love, fam.